Good morning. Ready to go.
What are we going to see today?
We're going to see grapes and we're going to see citrus. The grapes have been harvested, so you're going to see grape vines that have no fruit on them.
Yes, that's it.
And then the citrus, just to check the growing stage where they're at right now. We've had two main weather issues this year that have affected the grapes for us quite a bit. The first was the Easter week frost freeze. The grapes on all our ranches, on all the ranch here, were just pushing new growth. Very, very tender, and it has no structural strength to withstand a freeze. So what happens is when that shoot dies so early in the year, the grapevine wants to keep growing. It has nothing to do with the underground, with the root systems, with the vascular systems, except for that shoot. So it continues to push, and it will produce grapes. But what the grapes that it makes is what we call second crop. These came out of a frozen, the vine pushed it again, and these came out of one of those damaged spurs. We call them spurs, and once they get bigger, we call them canes. It's really not edible. They don't taste good. They're small, and plus, they started so late that there's just no way to farm our regular grapes and farm these with the result of the frost damage. The second thing that happened is we had about 2 days here in this area of 112 to 114 degrees. Anything that was exposed, like this bunch here, you can see all this damaged fruit. That's all weather related. It was so warm that anything exposed to the sun gets burned, and that is burned grapes. Okay, we're going to take a look at the citrus blocks. I've got a couple of varieties here. This is blood oranges, and then this next block over here is caracaras. The bloods, my preference is not to pick them until March, but sometimes the customers want them earlier than that. And the biggest complaint I get from blood oranges is, I don't like the taste. But if you wait till they're mature and then eat them, that unique flavor is something I really like. You can't see it here, but you will once this turns orange. This is sunburn damage. And that's what happened during that hot weather. It was a little bit exposed, and you won't see much of it right now, but this whole thing will dry up. We want as much of that whole area red as possible. So, interesting thing about citrus is heat brings size, but heat also inhibits color. So if we've had a warm fall, color is delayed. The weather that we're getting now, which is in the 30s, but not low 30s or upper 20s, is a good thing. We need it. We can protect with our wind machines. We can protect down to 26, 27, but it all depends on the length of time too. Anyway, that's the stage of the blood orange right now. These are caracaras, navels, and unlike the bloods, which I call they grow on the interior of the tree, which has more leaf cover, believe it or not. Caras tend to grow on the outside. These caras, they don't like direct sun. They want it covered up. And unfortunately, they tend to set most of the fruit on the outside of the tree. Now you look at that and you say, hey, that's a lot of color. And it is for this time of year. The reason is it's a sunburned piece of fruit. So it looks good now, but when it comes time to harvest, it'll dry up. These cells are starting to dry up here. You see the lighter color just now starting, and that's all related to that area where it burned. To me, caracaras are very sensitive to sunlight and temperature, but I love them. My kids love them. My wife says they're the best navel orange ever. When they're grown right, when they aren't sunburned, and you leave them on the tree long enough to get some sugar. Plus, they have a real cool color, and it's a striking piece of fruit to peel it or cut it. It looks really nice, tastes really good, and yes, I have to agree with her on this one, is they are very, very good.